our Northside Business Luncheon for March of 2021. This month's topic is COVID-19 resources. I'm so happy to be with everybody here today. My name is Felicia Perry. I am the Executive Director of the West Broadway Business and Area Coalition, and otherwise known as WBC. I'll refer to it as that going forward because it's a very long title. But WBC, we are a business association. The work that we do, well, our mission really is to create a vibrant and thriving West Broadway corridor and positively impact the economic development Northside wide. That is what we do, and really the culmination of all the programming and efforts you see us doing out here in the community. I'm always excited every month, the second Thursday of every month, because we host our Northside Business Luncheons in partnership with the Northside Economic Opportunity Network, which we'll now refer to as NEON. And NEON is a great partner in community when it comes to supporting the businesses, providing technical assistance, resources. We partner on programming like the business luncheons in order to bring together our business community in North Minneapolis in order to inform each other. So we get to learn together, we get to network together, and we get to, actually connect with different decision makers across the city and really become parts of conversations that we don't normally get to be a part of. So I'm really grateful that we're able to provide that sort of space. As you all know, we are in the, I don't know if I want to say the middle of a pandemic, maybe the tail end of one. I don't know, I guess time will tell. But we are all experiencing this worldwide pandemic, and it shifted the way that a lot of us have had to do business, and it shifted the way that we've had to take care of each other. Northside community is a community that takes care of each other. And so we want to make sure that we're being healthy, also from a business perspective, because a lot of our clients and customers have to engage with us. They come to us for advice and information. And even as businesses, we need different support during a time like this. And so I'm really excited to have some of our speakers share with you all what their organizations or entities are doing to provide support for our businesses, and really excited for them to really talk to us about how specifically these resources can be accessed by us. So let me see, a few housekeeping things. You might be watching us streaming live on Facebook. You may be tuning in live with us within Zoom. Either way, we encourage you to connect with each other in the chat or in the comments. Make sure that you are leaving your business card. So in the chat, leave your name, your business or the organization. Maybe even tell us a little bit about what your business or organization does. And then also use the chat to ask questions, to engage with each other. Consider yourselves amongst community and interact in that way. So we're in a virtual space. We're trying to bring that in-person interaction here as well. And in the spirit of how we usually gather and we eat lunch together. But since we're gathering virtually, everybody's in a different location. We are still providing catered lunch from our small businesses in community, around our community. And so make sure that you, let's see, we do an hour before the luncheon and an hour after, and lunch is available at NEON today. And our caterer, I don't want to misspeak, but who's our caterer today? Is it?
It is Kay's.
It is Kay's, okay. Kay's Revolutionary Catering and More, one of my favorites. Shout out to Chef Kay. They were also one of the Toast to the Northside Business Awards honorees this past 2020. So make sure you check them out. We're going to put their information both in the chat of Zoom and in the chat in Facebook. So if you're, and we'll also put the information around where you can, where and how you can go and grab a free lunch today from Kay's. Now, I don't know what's on the menu, but while you're visiting Kay's, they have this wellness tonic that is just amazing. And be careful not to drink too much because it tastes, the Stay Well tonic tastes really great as well. All right, so last kind of housekeeping things, we're recording. as well as streaming this live. So if you do not want to be seen and you're here on the Zoom, feel free to leave your video off. We would love to see your lovely faces, but for the most part, everyone's going to see who's speaking. So if you're quiet, you can kind of say off the screen. Lastly, let me just check my notes really quick to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, I did want to point everyone's attention to some work that both Neon and WB are also working on with the Black Business Support Collective. It is called Minnesota Black Owned, and it's a resource for Black businesses to access free to low or no cost PPE, so personal protection equipment, and resources like actual resources like that for your business. You can stop by on West Broadway to grab it. You can order it online and have it shipped to you. But just know that that's also a resource out there. You'll find out more about it if you subscribe to either Neon or WBC's newsletters. Also, websites will post in the chat so that you can just kind of stay up to date on all the stuff that we're learning and we're doing in order to support you. All right, so without further ado, I am excited to turn this over to WBC Program Manager, Mr. Brian McLaurin, or also known as DJ Brian McLaurin, because he brings the music vibes from time to time. But yeah, Brian, go ahead, take it away.
Thank you so much, Felicia. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. We're so thankful to have you here today. You know, I'm going to jump right in because we have quite a bit of information to get to. You know, keeping in mind that we are still in the midst of dealing with COVID-19, and there are resources available to you. And today, our panelists today will be sharing information that we think is vital to our community. Without further ado, I will start by introducing our panelists for the day, and I'll kind of start on the outside and work my way in. Our first panelist for today is Brian McDonald. Brian comes to us, he's with the Small Business Administrator's Office of Entrepreneurial Development in Washington, D.C. He spent 5 years there prior to coming to Minneapolis. Currently, he is the District Director of the Minneapolis District Office of the United States Small Business Administration. Brian is well acquainted with the needs of the state's 500,000 small businesses, having served as SBA's Minnesota Deputy Director since 2017. Under his leadership, Brian's team works to facilitate SBA-backed loans, advocate and train small businesses for federal government contracting opportunities, and improve entrepreneurial development and strengthen business growth in all 87 Minnesota counties. In addition to his experience with the SBA, Brian served on the President's Management Council as a policy analyst at Health and Human Services and served in the U.S. Department of Treasury CDFI Fund and his private banking experience. Originally from Rochester, New York, Brian received his undergraduate degree from Syracuse University and a master's degree from Georgetown. Currently resides in Minneapolis with his wife and children. Brian, if you're out there, will you please wave to the crowd so everyone can see you? Thank you for being with us today. Keeping with the theme of working our way from the outside in, we also have with us today Christine Levens. Christine Levens is the Vice President of Strategic Initiatives and Chief of Staff at the Minneapolis Regional Chamber. In these roles, she manages both internal and external relationships with a focus on moving the mission of the organization forward. This work centers on collaboration across multiple sectors, including private and public partnerships, nonprofit and for-profit collaboration, organizational alignment. Levens convenes multiple working groups across the city and region to support businesses of every size with a focus on economic development, stability, and growth. Christine also has managed many community development projects, as well as technical assistance and business support programs. Christine, would you please wave to everyone so they can see you? Hello, Christine. Glad to have you today. Last but not least, I saved the most difficult bio for last because of all the initials in there. So I'm going to do the best I can, Emily, to get through this. We have with us Emily Peterson joining us from the city of Minneapolis. in 2018 as the BTAP training coordinator with the primary responsibility of developing and implementing trainings for Minneapolis entrepreneurs and small businesses as part of the City of Minneapolis B Business Technical Assistance Program. That's what BTAP stands for. This includes administration of the Cooperative Technical Assistance Program called CTAP and Small Real Estate Developers Training Program called DTAP. 2020, Emily joined the city small business team. She assisted administering in COVID-19 response contracts and coordinating communications regarding relief to small businesses due to COVID-19 and damages due to civil unrest. Small business team assists entrepreneurs in navigating city permitting and licensing processes, connecting businesses to relevant resources and supports, and answers questions about regulations and requirements. Before joining the City of Minneapolis, Emily worked for 7 years as a partnership marketing manager with Meet Minneapolis Visitor and Convention Association. Meet Minneapolis, Emily worked with local businesses to help them identify opportunities and market their businesses to Minneapolis convention and tourism industry. Emily, if you're out there, would you please wave to everyone? We're so thankful to have all three of you here with us today, and we have quite a bit of information to get to. So we're gonna dive right in. And just so we aren't bumping into each other, whenever I ask these questions, we'll kind of go in the order of the bios. And let me preface this by saying some of our questions may not apply to all of our panelists. So we want you to all understand that the questions that we're asking from the place of what community needs. And so just because they don't answer doesn't mean that they don't have anything to say. It's just a specific question may not apply to them in this instance. But this first question does apply to everyone. So I'm going to kick us right off with this first question, and we'll start with Brian. And we're going to allow them adequate time to make sure they can get through all of the information. So keep that in mind. And this first question is going to be kind of lengthy as they provide us with an answer. So here we go. Can you provide us with an update on the type of resources available to small business owners experiencing difficulties from COVID-19?
Hey, just want to thank everyone for having me on the call today. Thank you very much, Brian, for the introduction. I should edit that down so it's a little simpler next time, but I'm glad it wasn't the most difficult one, I guess. So, but good to see some familiar names and faces, and thanks for having us on the call today. The Economic Aid Act, I wanted to start there, was signed into law on December 27th, right at the end of last year. And this had a lot of impact on SBA programs and services that build off of both of our existing programs and the programs that were created last year under the CARES Act. So in terms of loan programs, kind of our blockbuster right now at the moment is the Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP. And this is economic aid via a forgivable loan that's provided through a PPP lender to cover payroll. So as long as you use 60% of your PPP loan on payroll, the full thing is forgiven. So there's no interest at all. And you can use 40% for other covered eligible expenses, which got expanded under the Economic Aid Act. So there's 8 things that you can use PPP for. You could use PPP for any of these 8 things, but just keep in mind, as long as you use 60% for payroll, then the whole thing, 100% is forgiven. So primarily, one eligible use is for payroll, but you can also use it for rent, for mortgage interest, for utilities, for operational expenditures. Property damage costs is a new item under the Economic Aid Act. So for example, from civil unrest, if you have uninsured or underinsured losses, you could use PPP to help offset those damages and those costs. Again, if you could use 40% of your PPP for something like that, and as long as you use 60% for payroll, the whole thing would be forgiven. So essentially, it's a grant. But you can also use PPP for supplier costs and other worker protection expenditures like PPE. So money remains available for PPP right now. you haven't missed it. If you've been waiting and you haven't looked into the program yet, the deadline is March 31st. And to get PPP, again, you go to an SBA lender for this program. Our team, we're putting together weekly trainings every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. If you want a little more information on this, just to understand the program a little bit more, get some more information before you move forward, we offer those free online webinars again every Wednesday evening at 4:30. But there is lots of things in the Economic Aid Act. It also provided for debt relief. So with this debt relief program, SBA pays the principal and interest on your existing SBA loan for 7A, 504, and microloan borrowers, and potentially for new loans as well. So again, that was part of the Economic Aid Act that doesn't get as much attention as PPP, but it's really critical. SBA will pay your principal and interest on an SBA loan. Additionally, for our loan programs, we also had the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, or EIDL, and the Economic Aid Act extended the deadline of that program through the end of 2021. So it's not, you can't get a second EIDL loan, but if you hadn't gotten an EIDL loan last year, the program is still open and available. And this program is an SBA direct program. So you apply to SBA versus an SBA lender. And it's designed to provide working capital so that you can pay your bills that you otherwise would have paid if not for COVID. So there's a couple grant programs that I wanted to quickly highlight as well. One is a targeted EIDL advance program under the Economic Aid Act. And this provides businesses in low-income communities with additional funds to ensure continuity, adaptation, and resiliency. So if you qualify for this targeted EIDL advance, SBA will be reaching out to you, and then you complete an application back to SBA for that grant program. And then finally, a lot of attention we've been getting with the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant. We call that the SVOG program, or the Save Our Stages Act, which you might have heard of with First Avenue here locally. And this is a grant program for live venue operators or promoters, theatrical producers, live performing arts organization operators, museums, motion picture theaters, and talent representatives. And Congress gave SBA $15 billion for this program. Eligible applicants must have been in operation as of February 29th, 2020, and also must not have applied or received PPP this year. So that program, the application has not come out yet, but we do have a website up on sba.gov with a bit more information, the latest that we have at the moment for our Shuttered Venue Operator Grant. I don't have a timeline for when that application is going to come out. We hope it's going to be coming out pretty soon though, and we'll certainly have trainings and more information once that application does come out. So at the local level, my team here, we're the district office, and we do have a physical office in Minneapolis, and we've been hosting hundreds of trainings since the pandemic started, educating small businesses and our lending community on our COVID relief programs and other topics for both startups and existing businesses. On business fundamentals, and also we really specialize in the federal contracting space and federal contracting opportunities. And I just wanted to mention that our resource partners, we also have some partners that we provide partial funding to that can provide you no cost, confidential mentoring, consulting, and training. So go to sba.gov, that's our website, for other resources. I definitely recommend to follow us on social media. We're very active on Twitter is the platform that we are able to use, and we live tweet different events. We have easy links to find our application materials on our Twitter account, and that's at SBA_Minnesota. And also sign up for our newsletters. And that's a great way to stay connected with us on when new grant programs come out, new loan programs, new updates. And to do that, you go to sba.gov/updates, plural with an S, and put in your Minnesota zip code. So I'll put that in the chat as well. Brian, back to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Brian. Christine Levens, you have a new program to tell us about. Well, maybe not new to some of us, but definitely new to me. Christine, can you provide us an update on that?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Brian, and thanks everyone for inviting me to come and show this new platform designed for businesses in Hennepin County. And Brian McDonald, it's fun to actually be on a screen with you and not asking you questions in the background. The Chamber has hosted quite a few webinars with Brian. He's a great partner. I'm glad to see him here as well. I'm going to share my screen real quick. I'm going to tell you just quickly, share with you briefly about a really cool program that provides nonprofit resources to businesses that are in Hennepin County. I'm going to make sure I share the right screen. Not seeing my family, seeing a slide?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. It's either one or the other. So I'll just do a quick overview of what this platform is. It's quickly its origins and how to access the resources that are here. So much like Brian McDonald mentioned, is we do have additional, let's see if it's going to go for me. Come on. All right, here we go. So the Elevate Business HC is a partnership between Hennepin County and the Minneapolis Regional Chamber. It came together quickly after a group of businesses from across the county who are part of something called the Business Advisory Council advised Hennepin County on how to respond to COVID-19 needs for businesses. And again, businesses of all sizes. From that conversation came a really direct need for the services that are listed here. The opportunity for businesses to have peer-to-peer connections and roundtable settings to do information sharing, problem solving, and just learning best practices. Access to informative webinars. So we have a lot of webinars posted there right now. And then I think primarily the item of interest at this moment could be the technical assistance that are provided by local professionals and businesses. So together with the Chamber and Hennepin County, we created this technology platform. We did it in 42 days, which was absolutely mind-blowing because who does that? So we think it works relatively well. And then it was funded by CARES Act dollars. So we were able to do a lot of services in a very short period of time. And I am happy to say that it will be sustained through 2021. So roundtables will continue to meet, services will be available. So the pro bono services you can see here on my screen. What I wanted to highlight is the services that are available, again, pro bono to any business of any size, including nonprofits, using the platform. So I won't read this list, but I'll share this slide deck with you, Brian, so you can share it afterwards. It also includes, which I won't go through, kind of the way in which you log onto the platform and utilize it. So this is one set of opportunities to access free services, pro bono services, and here's the second. I think there's 22 combined. I also wanted to share with you the providers that are doing these services. It's a very, very broad group, some of which may be familiar to you all and some not. With the county's partnership, we try to really bring a diverse group of providers together that aren't just simply nonprofits, but that are private businesses doing a lot of different things, serving a lot of different people. And I did make a point here to list the languages that are spoken for client services. So we think we have a very diverse group of offerings, but then also providers. And one thing I will say is that, I don't need to show you this slide. There isn't, like some programs, there isn't a limit at this time on the amount of time service provider can share. So you can go to the Coven and get 30 hours of service. And if they have something that you need that they can't provide, they can send you to Hortensia Law or Davis. And that's kind of a short term. It'll end at the end of the quarter, we believe. But right now, anyone can have access to any of the services until problems are solved, which is, I think, very a unique kind of format and cycle for that opportunity. So we think it's great. We're hoping that it's going to help a ton of folks. Right now, there's over 740 businesses that are on the platform using all kinds of different services. And I think to date, over 1,200 hours of TA services have been provided, and that was in the first, I think, 8 weeks. So it is being utilized. There are resources here. And one of the things we're talking about now is It was originally in response to COVID-19, which, we acknowledge that we're still in, but businesses can use this for planning purposes, for other issues that have been outside of kind of any sort of crisis a business might have been going through related to shutdowns or changing ways in which to provide service. So it could be succession planning. It could be looking at or developing an employee handbook, making sure you have the correct insurance, which we've realized is really important. All of those kinds of things, as well as, how to negotiate a lease, how to talk to a lender, all of those sorts of things. So I really am trying to frame it to say, it's not just for crisis, it's for any sort of business support. And right now there's tremendous access. So here's the email address I think was in the chat, or I'm sorry, the website. And my contact information. For some reason, if someone doesn't have internet access or has difficulty navigating a platform, just call. We are here. I have a partner at Hennepin County who's doing the same thing, because we can do direct connects to providers. We can have a 5-minute conversation to determine what your needs are and who you're most comfortable with, and we'll make that connection and make sure you get served. So we want as many businesses across the county to have as much access as possible. So I think that's our program.
Thank you so much, Christine.
Thank you.
That's quite a bit. We may have to bring you back to take a deeper dive into that.
Happy to do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have Emily Peterson, representing the city of Minneapolis. Take us home on this question, Emily.
Hi, well, thank you for having me. So again, I'm Emily Peterson. I'm the BTAP training coordinator with the city of Minneapolis, and I'm part of the small business team. I'll start by giving a really brief overview of our business technical assistance program, similar to what Christine was just presenting on with Elevate Business. The city of Minneapolis partners with about 15 different nonprofit business technical assistance providers to help provide support to small businesses and micro enterprises in the city of Minneapolis. We pride ourselves on having a diverse set of technical assistance providers that, yes, both NEON and WBC are BTAP providers. And like I was saying, we pride ourselves on having a diverse group that has different language capabilities, different cultural competencies, and specialize in different neighborhoods. So when a business reaches out to us at the small business team, we're able to refer those businesses to the technical assistance provider that would best match and meet their needs. So I'll just walk through really quickly what a business can expect when they reach out to the city of Minneapolis small business team. So we have, you can reach us by either emailing us at smallbusiness@minneapolis.gov or by calling us if internet is an issue at 612-673-2499. And I believe those communications, the email and phone number, were included in the chat. And we have one of our team members managing and monitoring both the email and the phone lines every day, except over the weekends. So you can expect to hear back from us very quickly. And what we'll do is really just talk with the business owner through what they're looking for, so what their needs are. So if you're looking for financial resources for COVID-19, if you need help navigating or completing one of the PPP applications, we get a lot of questions on what are the current COVID-19 restrictions for businesses, so we can help walk through that at both the state level and the city level, and also navigate city resources. So some of the restrictions have changed. There was licensing questions on, for example, permitting questions and getting permits for takeout food spots. So we can help navigate that. So really, we're here to just help businesses navigate resources a lot easier and not have to have so many contacts with different organizations. We can help streamline that for them. For other city resources, I'll just say financially right now, the city of Minneapolis has a 2% loan program that has been reinstated for this year. The 2% loan program is a matching funds program where a business owner will work with a lender, and the city will match up to $75,000 depending on the area of the city to at a 2% loan rate. So that can help businesses that are perhaps maybe remodeling due to the coronavirus. There's businesses looking at putting in different ventilation systems and whatnot. So that can be a financial resource that is offered through the city of Minneapolis. And I will stop there and turn it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emily. Thank you all for asking that question. Now, this next question, some of you have touched on already, but I'm going to ask it anyway, just because I had perfect segue for this. I was so excited the first time I got a text from my mom. I was like, what is going on? She sent me a text. I couldn't believe it. It was the most exciting time of my life. This happened a month ago. So how can business owners without online capabilities get access to your resources?
So our staff at SBA were available over the phone to support small businesses navigating SBA and local small business resources. Our main line is 612-370-2324. But I agree with everyone else, COVID makes this really challenging. Everything, we're here today online. And but our team, we did do an in-person event at Monktown Marketplace in St. Paul 2 weeks ago, and we're exploring future in-person events. So just please stay connected. We'll make sure to communicate that with your team, Brian and Felicia, and through our partners as well. So hopefully we'll have another event coming up in person. We just have to make sure it's done the right way.
Christine?
I think it's the same thing. The phone has come back into fashion in all the ways, text or otherwise. I do think the other thing is that I've really noticed in lots of other programs is this word of mouth. Tell the folks around you, tell your neighbors, get them connected, help them get to the resources, help them get to a computer, help them get to the internet, or just help them find the phone number to make the call and get that access. But we want to be available. But I think it's about just people getting that phone number.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Emily.
Same, like I mentioned, we have a small business support line. It's 612-673-2499. That's monitored by our whole team. Otherwise, you can always reach out to us directly as well. I'd also like to mention that I know besides internet and technology being a barrier, that language can be a barrier for a lot of small businesses looking for resources. So we do have various language capabilities within our small business team, and we're able to find those resources within the city if business owners need help in various languages.
Thank you all. So here's another question, and I'll preface it by saying this. A lot of times, things happen to us unexpectedly, and I think we all can admit that COVID-19 was very unexpected. So we have some businesses and entrepreneurs out there who maybe weren't as far along in the life of their businesses. So with that in mind, let me ask this question. Are there general resources available to businesses that do not require things like credit checks or extensive background information?
Right, and it's such a good point. No credit is often bad credit, or I've worked with business owners who have had just really unfortunate medical situations that things can happen. But our resource partners that I mentioned can provide no-cost consulting and mentoring for a small business. There's no credit check there. There's no background information that's required. So that's pretty easy to find and get matched up there. Our SBA website also has online learning units, and we've just kind of revamped our online learning portal. The videos used to be about a half an hour long, and now we've kind of whittled those down to 2 to 5 minutes, so they're kind of more digestible. So again, you do need to be able to access that online, but there's no registration or any background check. You can just go on sba.gov to find that. Our traditional SBA loans do require a credit check, but they are more flexible than traditional market products for commercial lending. And we do have a number of micro lenders, which are nonprofit lenders who specialize in working with startups and those who need credit building or repair. And then finally, our team here is doing a Money Smart curriculum that specializes in financial management. So again, just, I would recommend signing up for our newsletter to stay in the know with some of those opportunities.
Thank you. What about Elevate Business HC, Christine?
Not my area of expertise, but I do know we have 3 to 4 providers on the platform who specialize in kind of financial planning, how to prepare a package for funding. And one thing I think is great about the platform is our providers are well networked together, but they have their own network. So I think that's how an individual might use the platform to do that sort of work.
Thank you so much for pointing that out.
You're welcome.
Emily?
Yep. So with the city of Minneapolis, we do not have any requirements to reach out for services through our team, and you can provide us as much information as you need to access technical assistance resources. Like Christine said, we have also some of our technical service providers who offer microloan programs and credit building programs through their technical assistance programs, and they also can help businesses navigate applications to find programs that would not need credit checks or background checks.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. So for our next question, let me all take you back to the beginning of this when COVID-19 first hit. We all have those memories of going into the stores and looking for alcohol, bleach, hand sanitizer. Who would thought we would run out of toilet paper? Just all those things that were necessary to sustain life and to keep businesses moving forward. So as we move towards getting back to normal, we can expect our traffic to increase. Are there resources, PPE resources made available to business owners from your organizations? If so, can you provide information on that?
Yeah, so from SBA, I mentioned that PPP funds, Paycheck Protection Program funds, can be used for worker protection expenditures. So again, if you can use up to 40% of your PPP, and still the whole thing would be forgiven, and that 40% you could use, or you could use the full thing if you wanted, on worker protection expenditures. I know that WBC, you guys participate in the Twin Cities Rebuilding Coalition, so not part of SBA, but they might have some resources worth looking into as well. And again, not SBA, but the state of Minnesota is actively coordinating efforts for access to PPE for businesses. And there's information available on a website. I can drop the link into the chat on that from the state of Minnesota. But I think primarily from SBA, you could look at using funds.
Thank you so much. Anyone else before we move into our next question? Thank you all. Well, here's a rather unique question, but it's something that we wanted to ask. A lot of times you have the owner themselves who are affected by COVID-19 directly. Is there any type of assistance available to business owners who may have contracted COVID-19 and were unable to remain in operation?
Would you like me to go first on that, or do we want to switch it up?
If you're ready to go, take it away.
My response would be, if there isn't, there should be.
Go ahead, Christine, if you want to go.
That's my singular comment.
Okay.
If there isn't, there should be.
Right.
Work on that.
Right, and yeah, so from SBA, the economic injury disaster loan could provide support for businesses affected by COVID-19. That's a low interest loan directly from SBA. I mean, I think we just recommend checking at the local level for any other supports. I'm glad we have the city on in case there's something there. And for PPP from SBA, there are certain safe harbors, and there's an extended time for your covered period to spend your funds if those kind of occurrences happen. Of course, each situation is case by case. And my recommendation too is if you have PPP and this happens to you, document those kind of situations, because I think you could recover and be able to spend down PPP, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you so much. One last question, and then we'll open it up to the audience to ask any questions they may have. The city of Minneapolis is in a unique place because not only are we dealing with the effects of COVID-19, but we're also trying to recover from the social unrest that took place over the summer. So here's my next question. For resources that may or may not be available with your organizations, how do business owners differentiate between those resources available due to COVID-19 versus those that may be available due to the social unrest?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's information overload, and businesses are facing multiple disasters simultaneously. And so SBA has a disaster loan program open to those affected in each of these separate cases. And so you can kind of navigate there on the website. You can email, reach out to our team if you have any questions about that. We do have a specific low interest loan program for civil unrest. We have a declaration there. And so far we've approved nearly $4 million here in the Twin Cities. And our team is working to support those who haven't been able to move forward on that program yet. So we do have that separate program for civil unrest. And then I've kind of outlined a lot of the COVID programs. So there's a lot out there and a lot to digest, and we're here to help you navigate that.
Thank you, Brian. Before I segue into questions from our audience, anyone else have a response to our last question?
I'll just say from the city of Minneapolis with the Business Technical Assistance Program, currently technical assistance providers can help with either or both, and we fund up to 50 hours of technical assistance with the provider, and it can be with multiple providers. We did have COVID-19 specific resources earlier on in the pandemic, but currently it's for any sort of technical assistance, including COVID-19 or recovering from civil unrest.
Thank you.
I think we also have I think we also have
yeah,
folks on the
that's what I'm here for.
platform. I know Davis Law in particular really keeps on top of the multitude of resources and options and how to approach them. And many of the providers are familiar with these applications and are ready to help get folks through the process once you can collaboratively determine which program's right. That is one thing I think is exceptional about some of our providers, is they can take a look at the problem. They have enough knowledge about the resources to figure out what's the best fit for not only the immediate need, but how it would impact 6 months from now, 18 months from now, 24 months from now, from your growth plan and strategy to your taxes. So I think that's one of the benefits of some of these folks that have this really comprehensive wraparound sense of what's going on in the environment and the landscape.
Thank you all so much for providing that information. Well, we're getting to the close of our luncheon, so at this time we want to open up questions. Anyone that may have questions from our audience today, you can provide it via the chat, or if you're on Facebook Live, you can put it there, and our behind the scenes people who are so important to what we do here will make sure it gets our conversations here. Are there any questions at this time?
I had a question. Hey, this is Felicia. I guess
Oh,
I could,
go ahead.
put a lot of it now 'cause I'm trying to manage a few things as I ask this question too. But I know like the focus is a lot on like COVID-19 resources specifically, and a lot of, I guess part of my concern is the impacts of COVID-19, I think will be felt even after we're sort of in the clear. Let's say in 6 months, it's okay for us to be in restaurants more than 50% again, even if it goes up to 75, if we can have full capacity. I'm wondering what sort of preparation work your the entities that you all are working for are doing with that future thought around how do we like support people being able to like re-enter into the economy in this way, switch back if they want to, remain a lot of like online stuff. Are you all like working on things around that? Are there things we can anticipate maybe 6 months down the line around like keeping, say, some of our like food businesses in North Minneapolis, which we already had some, disparities in like the types of foods and things that we had. Are you all like forward thinking in how you're managing that, like food security? And
Yeah, I can go. One of the things that we're, the county and the chamber in partnership when crafting an RFP and bringing on this group of consultants was to really create a pool of knowledge that could do that work, that could respond to recovery issues as well as crisis issues. So for example, folks that are in the restaurant space, we have a provider, her name is Susan, and her company is called Q the Accountant. Her primary focus and expertise is restaurants. So it is about building, rebuilding, pivoting, financing, accounting, all of those aspects. So again, that would be a resource I would very much encourage businesses that are in the food space to access. And again, some of these other folks are can really do intentional planning kind of by quarter to say, okay, if you're at capacity here, what do you have to do to get ready for 50%? Like, what is the window in which you need to get your food ordered and be able to go and get on? What is it going to take in terms of sales to bring on 2 more staff people? Like those sorts of intentional steps that will lead to the success as recovery comes. And I think that that's true not just in the restaurant space, but manufacturing, construction, any of those types of things. It's the intentional planning to get ready to get back to where you were, and hopefully into a growth pattern. Based on need assessing landscape. There are in some cases, especially in the restaurant space, there's 100 less restaurants than there were at this time last year. What does that do to the landscape? What does that do to your ability to serve more people? Did the market change completely? How do you get that new market share? What do you have to do to make people know that you're still there? Does that mean beefing up your social media? Have somebody for that. So it really is kind of this entire landscape of work and getting ready to get after it. So I guess that's my response.
Yeah, oh, sorry, Felicia, were you gonna go? It's such a great question. I think we are just so focused on COVID relief right now, and our deadline for PPP is March 31st. So we're so focused on getting that. We did just go through leadership and elections, as we all know, at the federal level. So probably in the next couple weeks, we may have new leadership at SBA guiding some of the longer strategic direction. So I do know there is a new White House initiative that SBA is just starting to be involved in, called Community Navigators. And so I think there's just some initial meetings on that today, and that's at the federal level. So we'll see how SBA can participate here in Minnesota with with that initiative. But our office is focused on just our ongoing support programs as well. And I think we can take a lot of the new relationships and better relationships that we have coming from the pandemic to really make sure that our programs are more effective once we're starting to get back into the mix with being able to do things in person. We do have a really big contracting event coming up in April. So for anyone who's interested in contracting at the federal, state, or local level, typically we do this in-person event at the Earl Brown Center. This year it's going to be all virtual, and there's going to be matchmaking events for those interested in contracting. So we do have a few things planned just beyond the March 31st, but it's such a great question, Felicia. I think, you know, for us too, we want to be involved, and we're looking and we're very concerned, at least with our strategic focus, on main streets across the state and downtowns, and how they're going to recover from this moving forward with people working remotely. So I think we're going to try to embed ourselves with some of those initiatives as well. That's what we're looking at.
And then I'll go and answer this question. I see a couple other questions in the chat. So for us in the small business team and with the BTAP program, looking forward, we're really looking at a couple things to ensure that assistance is available during the ongoing pandemic, and knowing that the past year there was a lot of surprises. So you know, remaining flexible in our funding, and so making sure that we have the ability to launch programs much like our COVID-19 response funding for technical assistance providers last year, you know, having opportunities to do that. Also, with the business technical assistance program, finding ways to have more funding for existing businesses. So we do technical assistance for both entrepreneurs looking to start a business and new businesses, as well as existing businesses. So making sure that there's enough funding, especially in the retention area, so businesses that exist and are currently existing are able to get the assistance they need. Yes, there will be an opportunity for more service providers to be added to BTAP. We will be launching a notification of funding availability in the next short little bit here, and we'll be contracting for new service providers for 2021 this spring. So we will make sure that everyone is aware when that is announced. And then I saw a question from Tito Wilson. Is there money available to purchase some of the commercial spaces damaged by the civil unrest? Another funding program or a lending program that the city has is called the Commercial Property Development Fund. And I will drop a link to that information in the chat box, but it is a tool that has been developed to fill funding gaps by providing forgivable debt capital for commercial real estate development projects in the city of Minneapolis, with a focus on economically challenged areas. So I think that probably is the program that you're looking for. So I will put that information here.
Thank you, Emily.
I just mostly drop my response in the chat that Hennepin County right now is starting to, they're writing the RFP, soliciting providers for the Elevate Business HC platform. I know they're very interested in expanding the types of services that are available. Also, you know, perhaps some providers that are a little more unique and offer things that are specific. I'm pushing for, you know, folks that do design work, folks that do some of those types of things that are a different type of need, and perhaps just at a different, you know, reimbursement rate, that sort of thing. So really trying to get creative and continue the path that the county has been on to really change how they do this particular part of their work. So I'll let the WBC team know when that RFP is available. I will tell you it will be very soon, and the response time is going to be relatively quick. I think like maybe under 2.5 weeks. So at the same time, they're also trying to refine and simplify RFP response processes, which those of us who have done it, they can be burdensome, but we want to try to make it easier to make sure everybody can get what we need. So I'll raise a flag when it's ready.
Well, thanks to everyone, all of our panelists today that participated. We love to run out of time. That means we've selected a good topic. So because we're running out of time, we want to acknowledge, let's give our panelists a hand, everyone today that was involved. Thank you, Brian McDonald. Thank you, Christine Levens and Emily Peterson, for taking time out of your day to talk with us and to talk with our community. We really appreciate you. And if you have any additional information that you think may be valuable, please forward it to us and we'll make sure it gets out to the community. With all that said, I will turn it over to Felicia Harry to close us out.
Thank you so much, Brian. And thank you to all of the panelists today. I learned a lot. I always appreciate when I both learn a bunch of stuff, I meet or, find out about someone new, and that I kind of get excited at the end of this after learning something new and knowing that there are some things to come. Like, I really appreciate that energy of what these monthly luncheons do for me, at least. And I know it must do a lot for you all that you join us each month. So I really appreciate that. And so there was a lot of information thrown at us today. We are gathering information both from the chat, things we captured that people said, and then we're creating a resource document that both NEON and WBC will be sending out to all of you. So with relation to the Northside Business Luncheon, you literally can hit up either one of our organizations and get the information that you need, okay? So make sure to sign up for the email list, and you can do that by using the Eventbrite link for this event. And every time you RSVP there, you automatically get put on the list for that luncheon to get all the information that was learned. So stay tuned. Last thing I want to do is make sure, because I got a couple of comments and inboxes about my shirt. Don't complain, activate. Shout out to Leslie Redmond, who has made Black history as the youngest NAACP chapter president in the nation when she stepped into that role a few years ago at 25. She's not 25 anymore, but like she's now launched this brand, Don't Complain, Activate. So check her out when you get a chance. Did I miss anything else, Teresa? Any other announcements I needed to make? Okay. It looks like I have like the nods of approval from my amazing team. Oh, thank you to my team. I have to keep shouting out my team, Teresa and Carla, who have been holding down the chat for everybody. Be sure that if you have any questions, you ask them. We will do our best to get them to you. And shout out to you, Brian. You're doing an amazing job hosting and facilitating these luncheons. Y'all make me excited. Shout out to the team at NEON. I know Maypa is over there behind that logo. And I think I see Warren has joined, Warren, the president of NEON. So we're all up in here representing and supporting. Just know that we're working together for all of our greater good. And thank you for rocking with us. All right, I think that's it. We're at 101. Let's get on up out of here.